Are you religious, Shashi?
Yeah.
I know you're not. I know you've spoken about how you had a nationalist upbringing in a manner, and you were not. You dropped your surname. You didn't believe in caste. How?
My father dropped his surname, so I inherited that.
Yeah. How far can you extrapolate that argument? If caste is bad, is religion also bad?
No, because I think there's a distinction to be made, which I've made in my book, Why I'm a Hindu, between Hindu society and Hindu faith. And to my mind, society is a purely man-made construct. And you are free to agree with it, reject it, as you wish. I've never accepted the caste system for myself, and I don't particularly cherish the idea of judging people by anything they happen to have been born into, as a religion, their caste, their appearance, whatever, the language they speak at home. That's not where you judge people. And to my mind, that's a non-negotiable thought. I mean, yes, you can appreciate the fact that somebody is better looking than somebody else or whatever, but those are superficial things. I mean, as Martin Luther King's famous phrase, the content of their character matters much more than any of those factors. But Hinduism as a faith I found extremely interesting. And it's partially also because I read up about it a lot. I became a sort of devotee, if you like, of Swami Vivekananda when I was a teenager. And the good thing about Swamiji is that he did most of his preaching in English. So you weren't reading him through the intermediary of a translation. All the Hindu sacred texts I've read in English, and therefore I knew they were coming from Sanskrit, and if somebody had got the original meaning wrong, then I was getting the wrong meaning, who knows. But with Swami Vivekananda, literally the guy was speaking in English most of the time, and you could actually read his actual words. And I learned an enormous amount of what I valued about Hinduism from him. And one of the things I've talked about, which I'll mention to this audience, is his famous statement when he addressed the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. And he said that, I'm proud to speak to you in behalf of a faith which has taught the world not just tolerance but acceptance. He didn't elaborate on it, but that sentence stuck in my head, and I turned it over. When I was reading it, I was studying in history class, and a tolerant king is a good thing. He's a good king because he sort of tolerates other people's points of view and so on. But the more I thought about it over the years, the more I realized that tolerance is actually a very patronizing idea. I mean, what is tolerance? Tolerance is saying, I believe I have the truth, you are in error, but I will magnanimously indulge you in your right to be wrong. That's all that tolerance is. Whereas acceptance, which is what Vivekananda taught Hinduism was all about, acceptance preaches, you're saying really, I believe I have the truth, you believe you have the truth, I will respect your truth, please respect my truth. And to my mind, that's a fundamental difference and a fundamental basis for coexistence in a multi-religious society like ours. So to my mind, that was profoundly important and valuable, and I'm religious in that sense. I go to temples largely and only when it's expected of me to do so, not because I feel I need to be in a temple to reach out to the divine. I have that sort of very Hindu view that it's essentially between me and my conception of my maker. There are 33 crore ways in which you can name and imagine the divine. Pick your own, do what you like, pick half a dozen or a dozen. It's your call, right? I mean, the great thing about Hinduism is we have not one sacred book, but several. We have no Hindu Pope, no Hindu Sunday. I mean, you can literally have your Ishtadevta any day of the week and fast for him or her, or pray for him or her, or whatever, as you wish. You can even decide that you prefer the idea of the Nirguna Brahman, God without form, without qualities, without shape, without gender, and yearn for that if you wish. As Swami Vivekananda demonstrated, you can also reach Brahman through service. What is karma yoga? You're serving humanity, and in that process, you are getting closer to God. So all of these options that Hinduism gives you, to my mind, is absolutely wonderful. In that sense, I'm very proud to be a Hindu, and I'm happy to say that. But my pride in being a Hindu is that Vivekananda kind of pride. It's not the pride of the Hindutva fanatic who sort of chooses to behave like the British football hooligan. If you don't support my team, I'm going to hit you on the head. That's not Hinduism.